The McDonald's on Sunset Boulevard was buzzing with its usual mid-morning rush. Businessmen on coffee runs, teenagers grabbing an early lunch, and truck drivers refueling before the long road ahead all filled the fast food joint with life. Behind the counter, wearing a slightly crumpled uniform and a tired yet friendly smile, stood David Carter, moving with the mechanical efficiency of someone who had done this 1,000 times. "Welcome to McDonald's. How can I help you?" he asked, his voice carrying the weight of unfulfilled potential. The man across the counter, wearing a dark t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers, looked up from the menu with a slight grin. His tousled hair and sharp eyes were unmistakable Elon Musk. David blinked, convinced for a second that exhaustion was playing tricks on him. What was Elon Musk doing in a McDonald's? And why was he standing right in front of him? "I'll have a large coffee." "Black," Musk said casually, fishing his phone out of his pocket. David nodded and punched in the order. His hands were quick, his movements precise. As he poured the coffee, his mind raced. Should he say something? Should he let this moment pass? But fate had other plans. As he handed over the cup, Musk's eyes caught something unusual, David's name tag. But it wasn't just the name that caught his attention. Underneath, scribbled in pen as if it had been added later, was something that made Musk pause. David Carter, former Tesla engineer. Musk's eyebrows shot up. "Former Tesla engineer?" he repeated, his voice tinged with curiosity. David swallowed hard, suddenly feeling every pair of eyes in the room on him. "Yeah," he said, forcing a smile. "Worked in the AI division. Until, well, things didn't go as planned." Musk leaned in slightly. "What happened?" David hesitated. This wasn't the place, wasn't the time. But something in Musk's expression, the sheer genuine interest, made him speak. "I was part of the team working on autonomous driving," he admitted. "Had some strong ideas, some disagreements with management. Next thing I know, budget cuts happened, and I was let go." Musk frowned. He didn't remember signing off on any major layoffs from the AI team. Tesla had been aggressively hiring, not firing. David exhaled sharply. "I tried to find another tech job, but the market's tough. Bills piled up. I needed something, so here I am." He shrugged, as if accepting the cruel irony of it all. Musk studied him for a moment. Then, he did something that no one in that McDonald's could have expected. He pulled out his phone, tapped a few buttons, and held it to his ear. "Hey, Jared," he said after a moment. "Yeah, I need you to check something for me. Find out why a former Tesla AI engineer is flipping burgers in LA." David's heart pounded. What was happening? Musk ended the call, took a sip of his coffee, and looked back at him. "I don't believe in coincidences," he said. "If you were good enough to work on AI at Tesla, you sure as hell shouldn't be stuck here." David stared, speechless, and then Musk smiled. "You're coming with me." David Carter stood frozen, coffee pot still in hand, as Elon Musk's words echoed in his ears. "You're coming with me." The McDonald's manager, a stocky man named Luis, looked up from his clipboard, his brow furrowed. "Everything all right here, Carter?" David barely heard him. His mind was reeling. Was Musk serious? Was this some kind of joke? David hesitated, glancing between his manager and Musk. "I'm still on my shift." Musk grinned. "Not anymore." He turned to Luis. "How much does he make here?" Luis blinked. "Excuse me? How much?" "Hourly rate." Luis shifted uncomfortably. 15 an hour. Musk chuckled. "That's criminal. You're worth more than that, David." He pulled out his phone again, thumb tapping the screen rapidly. "I'll cover your paycheck for the month. Hell, I'll double it. But you're not staying here." David swallowed. "Look, I can't just walk out. I have rent, bills." Musk nodded. "And you'll have a career again. Do you trust me?" David glanced around. The line of customers had stalled. Every pair of eyes locked on him. His co-workers had gone silent. It was one of those defining moments, the kind that only happened in movies or motivational speeches. His hands clenched into fists. He had spent months applying to tech jobs, trying to claw his way back into the industry. No one had given him a shot. Now, the richest man in the world was standing in front of him, offering a lifeline. David exhaled. Okay. Musk grinned. Smart choice. Luis raised his hands. Hey Carter man, you can't just... Musk shot him a look. He just did. Then, turning back to David, he said, Let's go. They stepped out into the California sun, the golden rays bouncing off the sleek, midnight black Tesla Model X parked at the curb. The falcon wing doors lifted gracefully, inviting them in. David had never been in a car this expensive before. His heart pounded as he sank into the plush leather seats. As soon as Musk slid into the driver's seat, the car pulled onto the road in near silence. David finally found his voice. Is this really happening? Musk smirked. It is. David rubbed his temples. I don't get it. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. Musk turned onto the freeway, effortlessly weaving through traffic. That's where you're wrong. I know exactly who you are. Jared just texted me your file. David's stomach twisted. My file? Musk nodded. You weren't just a Tesla engineer. You were one of the sharpest minds in our AI division. You worked on neural networks, machine learning, and decision-making systems for self-driving. David's face darkened. Yeah, and I got fired. Musk's grip on the wheel tightened. You shouldn't have. For a moment, silence filled the car, broken only by the soft hum of the electric motor. Then Musk said something that made David's breath hitch. I want to know who pushed you out. David frowned. What do you mean? Musk's eyes flickered toward him. I never approved your termination. Someone buried your name in a stack of budget-cut paperwork. That's not an accident. David's chest tightened. He had never thought about it that way. He had assumed he was just another casualty of corporate downsizing. But now, hearing Musk say it out loud, had someone intentionally forced him out? Musk's voice was low, almost dangerous. We're going to find out. And if someone screwed you over, I'm going to fix it. David swallowed hard. This was all moving way too fast. 1 minute he was flipping burgers. The next he was in Elon Musk's car, heading toward what? A new job? A conspiracy? He wasn't sure. But one thing was clear. His life had just changed forever. The Tesla Model X glided through the streets of Los Angeles like a silent predator. David sat in the passenger seat, gripping his knees, still trying to process what had just happened. He had left his McDonald's uniform behind, walked out on his shift, and was now riding with Elon Musk, his former boss, who apparently didn't even know he had been fired. Musk's phone buzzed, and he glanced at the screen. Jared just sent me something interesting, he muttered. His expression darkened as he scrolled through the message. David leaned in. What is it? Musk sighed. You were right about the budget cuts, but that wasn't the real reason you were let go. David's pulse quickened. Then what was? Musk handed him the phone. On the screen was a confidential internal email thread from a Tesla executive named Ryan Mathis, someone David barely remembered. The subject line made his stomach drop. We need him gone. His hands trembled as he read further. Carter is pushing back on the current AI parameters. He keeps raising concerns about ethical risks and decision-making flaws in the latest update. If he keeps questioning the leadership team, it's going to slow things down. Another response followed. Agreed. If he won't fall in line, he's a liability. Let's cut him in the next round of layoffs. Keep it clean. List him under budget reductions so it doesn't raise flags. David felt his throat go dry. His worst fear had just been confirmed. They silenced me, he whispered. Musk's jaw clenched. That's exactly what they did. David exhaled sharply, gripping the phone like it might shatter. He had spent months believing he wasn't good enough, that he had simply been unlucky. But now, staring at the proof, anger bubbled inside him. What were you pushing back on? Musk asked, eyes narrowing. David looked out the window, the city skyline blurring past. The AI's decision-making model, it was too aggressive. The new update prioritized speed and efficiency over human unpredictability. I ran simulations, Some of the decisions the system made in critical moments were questionable. Musk's fingers drummed against the steering wheel. And they fired you for that? David laughed bitterly. I didn't shut up about it. I kept raising red flags, kept asking for more testing before we pushed the update. They saw me as a roadblock. Musk shook his head. You weren't a roadblock. You were doing your job. For the first time in months, David felt vindicated. He had fought for something that mattered, and instead of being recognized, he had been thrown away. Musk made a sharp turn, heading toward Tesla's headquarters. We're going to fix this. David frowned. How? Musk smirked. By making you impossible to ignore. When they arrived at Tesla's main office, the security guard's eyes widened at the sight of Elon Musk himself stepping out of the car. David followed, still unsure whether he was dreaming. The moment they entered the sleek, glass-walled lobby, heads turned. Employees whispered, some casting curious glances at David. Musk strode to the front desk. Get me Ryan Mathis. Now. The receptionist's eyes went wide. Right away, sir. Minutes later, Ryan Mathis, the same executive whose name was in the email, walked in. He was in his late 40s, wearing an expensive suit, and had the air of a man used to calling the shots. Mr. Musk, he greeted with a confident smile. What brings you here today? Musk's expression was unreadable. David Carter. Mathis blinked, glancing at David as if just noticing him. Ah, Carter. I remember. Cut the crap. Musk interrupted. I read your emails. The color drained from Mathis's face. What? You fired a brilliant engineer for asking the right questions. Musk said, his voice sharp. You put profit and speed over safety. And then you buried him under budget cuts so no one would notice. Mathis's mouth opened and closed. I was only following. I don't care. Musk turned to David. Do you still believe the AI has flaws? David straightened. Yes. Musk nodded. Then you're rehired. Mathis gawked. Sir, you can't. I can. Musk shot back. And you? You're fired. Mathis turned pale. Wait. Security, Musk called out. Escort him out. 2 guards appeared almost instantly. Mathis stammered, trying to salvage his position, but Musk wasn't listening. The guards took him by the arms and led him out of the building. The room was silent. David swallowed hard. Did that really just happen? Musk grinned. Yep. David exhaled, his head spinning. He had just walked back into Tesla, as an employee once again. And this time, he wasn't going to be silenced. David stood in the middle of Tesla's headquarters, still trying to wrap his head around what had just happened. Just hours ago, he had been working the fry station at McDonald's. Now, he was back in the building where his career had started and nearly ended. Musk clapped a hand on his shoulder. Welcome back, Carter. Now, let's get to work. David blinked. Wait. Just like that? No paperwork. No onboarding. Musk smirked. I don't do bureaucracy. You're here because you should never have left. We'll sort out the formalities later. As they walked through the open-floor office, engineers and programmers cast curious glances their way. Some recognized David, their eyes widening in shock. Others whispered to each other, probably wondering why Musk had personally walked in with someone they had assumed was long gone. Musk led him into a sleek, high-tech conference room and gestured for him to sit. A massive digital screen lit up with data, code, and AI performance metrics. David's eyes scanned the information. It didn't take long for his stomach to tighten. Musk folded his arms. What do you see? David exhaled slowly. The AI system has gotten worse. Musk nodded. Exactly. Since you left, the team pushed forward with the flawed decision-making model. We're seeing near misses, erratic choices in unpredictable environments, and it's getting dangerously close to failure thresholds. David leaned forward, eyes locked on the numbers. He had spent months warning about this only to be ignored, and now his worst fears were becoming reality. They didn't fix the problem, he muttered. They just hid it. Musk's gaze was sharp. Which is why I need you to fix it, before someone gets killed. David swallowed. The weight of the responsibility settled on his shoulders. But this time, he wasn't going to let anyone push him aside. He turned to Musk, determination in his eyes. "I'm in." Within an hour, David was sitting with Tesla's top AI engineers, analyzing everything that had gone wrong. Some looked uncomfortable. After all, they had followed orders and ignored his warnings. Others looked relieved, as if they had wanted someone to push back but hadn't had the courage to do so. David pulled up the core AI decision matrix. "This is where the issue starts," he explained. "The system prioritizes efficiency over human unpredictability, which means in a real-world scenario, it's failing to account for edge cases." A younger engineer, Priya, frowned. "Edge cases?" David nodded. Real-world driving isn't just about avoiding obstacles. It's about understanding why they exist. For example, if a child chases a ball into the street, the AI should recognize the intent behind the movement, not just the object. One of the senior engineers, Kevin, rubbed his chin. "So you're saying our AI lacks true contextual awareness?" "Yes," David confirmed. "And that's a massive problem." The room went silent. Everyone knew he was right. Musk, who had been watching quietly, finally spoke. "So how do we fix it?" David took a deep breath. "We need to retrain the AI not just with more data but with better data. We have to teach it to interpret human behavior, not just react to it." Musk grinned. "Then what are we waiting for?" David turned back to the screen. This was it. His second chance. And this time, he wasn't going to let it slip away. The Tesla AI war room became David's second home. He worked day and night, diving deep into the code, retraining the AI, and running thousands of simulations. The team, once skeptical, now hung on his every word. Even the senior engineers, some with decades of experience, admitted that his insights were reshaping how they understood artificial intelligence in self-driving cars. But the biggest challenge? Time. Tesla was already rolling out its latest software update. If David and his team couldn't fix the AI's flaws before the next deployment, the faulty system could be responsible for real-world accidents. Musk had given him 2 weeks to deliver a solution. Day 1 to 5, the data overhaul. The first step was rethinking the AI's training data. David knew that self-driving systems learned from millions of recorded miles, but those miles were biased toward predictable, structured environments. What the AI wasn't good at handling were the edge cases, the unpredictable moments that made driving so complex. "Let's feed it human reasoning," David suggested. Priya, the young engineer, raised an eyebrow. "How?" David pulled up a file labeled Project Apollo, a previous initiative he had worked on before getting fired. "This was my research before I left. We don't just need AI that reacts. We need AI that understands human behavior." He turned to the team. "We have hours of dashcam footage, emergency braking reports, near-miss incidents. Let's study how human drivers respond in those moments. Let's make the AI think like us." The team got to work. They fed the system footage of everything from pedestrians jaywalking to drivers making last-minute lane changes. They coded new parameters that taught the AI to recognize intent, like noticing when a cyclist wobbled slightly, predicting they might fall. For the first time, Tesla's AI wasn't just seeing the world. It was understanding it. With new training data in place, it was time to test the AI in real-world conditions, but without risking actual drivers. Tesla's virtual driving simulator, T-Drive, became their battlefield. It created hyper-realistic traffic scenarios, complete with unpredictable pedestrians, reckless drivers, and extreme weather. David watched as the AI faced scenario after scenario. A mother pushing a stroller suddenly stopping in the middle of the crosswalk. A car door swinging open on a narrow street. A child chasing a soccer ball onto the road. Each time the old AI model failed, it reacted too slowly, made dangerous decisions, or simply didn't recognize the risks. But after days of continuous training, the new AI started responding differently. It anticipated the mother's hesitation and adjusted speed accordingly. It identified the open car door as an obstacle before reaching it, predicted the child might follow the ball, and braked early. David and the team watched as the failure rate dropped by 87%. "We're doing it," Priya whispered. David exhaled. barely able to believe it himself. But the final test. A real-world drive. With time running out, Musk himself demanded a final verification test on the streets of Los Angeles. The team gathered around a sleek, new Tesla Model S, modified with the updated AI system. Musk slid into the passenger seat. David, hands trembling slightly, took the wheel. "Let's see if it works," Musk said. The car pulled out of the Tesla facility, slipping into traffic. First, everything seemed routine. The AI handled lane changes smoothly, navigated intersections flawlessly, and adjusted its speed perfectly in response to other vehicles. But then the test. Tesla's internal safety team had set up a live challenge without telling David. Up ahead, a staged scenario unfolded. A dog ran into the road, followed closely by a young boy. The previous AI model would have prioritized the larger, moving object first, meaning the dog might have been saved, but the boy could have been hit. David's fingers tightened on the wheel. Would the AI make the right call? The car braked instantly, but not just in a panic stop. Instead of focusing on the dog, the AI had identified the greater risk, the child, and calculated the best possible trajectory. The Model S swerved slightly, slowing in a controlled arc. It came to a complete stop before reaching either the boy or the dog. Gasps filled the car. Musk turned to David, a rare look of admiration in his eyes. "You just changed the future." David, heart pounding, leaned back in his seat. He had done it.